I'm not sure if I'm a lefty clicker or a righty clicker, but let's try it this way. Yeah, I'm from the internet, but I also traveled here from Brooklyn, New York, and at first I didn't know why I was sort of invited here. I started looking at the different people speaking, and I was trying to struggle to figure out like how did I fit in, because what I sort of came to talk about today is the importance of side projects, and hopefully the secret to making things that you love. I've been using this sort of tagline for quite some time, since about '96, I guess. Because when I first discovered the internet, I think a lot of you out there probably thought it was like the most amazing thing. I had spent a lot of time before my sort of introduction to the internet doing random art and design things. So I was designing T-shirts, I ran an art gallery, had a skateboard company. What else did I do? Not so good. I wrote graffiti. So I liked putting things out there that people could see. And when I first discovered the internet, the first thing that hit me was like this amazing technology. I could connect my computer to a phone, and from that phone I could get to all these pages, these images, some words, video back then, not so easy to watch, but there was content. And then I started realizing behind all this content was actually people. And I think that's kind of a common theme that's been going through everyone's talks today. And what I realized quite quickly is that using the internet, I could surround myself with everything that's awesome. I could find people that I might want to work with in London. I could find people that were right around the corner from me in New York. But I could see an expression of who and what they were by the work that they put out. And that was kind of the most exciting part of getting onto the web and using the web as sort of a creative platform or a media space, right? So meeting people is easy, like, hello. Like, it's super easy to meet people. And the web's great for doing that, but I look at the internet as not just a place to, there'll be like a wordplay here, to network, but what's not so easy is meeting deadlines. And I'm more about networking than networking. And what I mean by that is finding people who understand the fact that they're surrounded by like everything that's awesome, and that have a lot to give, whether it's creativity or it's design or it's poetry, it's whatever it is. Everyone's out there, and it's basically your world's company. So you can have your sort of day job, but I think not everyone works in a job where they get to do exactly what they want to do each and every day. I'm fortunate enough to do some stuff that I really like, and I work at a company called Huge. We're a digital advertising agency. We have about 500 people in Brooklyn where I work, and then we have offices throughout the United States and through Europe. We're now moving into like Singapore and Japan. And we do everything from marketing, digital marketing, advertising, platform builds, application development, so on and so forth. And then the word busy being awesome, you'll see it across the next couple slides. I have to credit my girlfriend, but she's going to be my wife, so I'm just going to call her my wife. I'll credit my wife because she's smarter than I am. And she said, we always stay busy being awesome. I'm like, it's kind of broken English, but like I really kind of like it. So, I spend most of my day at Huge trying to be busy being awesome. I partner with Jen in our company as Universalscene, and we try to stay busy being awesome after work, throughout the weekends, and sometimes at downtime at work. I dedicate some of my time, as well as Jen, to the new museum. You all saw Julia speak yesterday. And one of the tenants of the new incubator is Rhizome. So I dedicate time to there. We're currently trying to launch a website for them and an event, but I'm really at my best when I have Jen at my side. It's kind of a bummer that she's not here, but, I'll see her soon. I think I fly back tomorrow. But it's like surrounding yourself with the right people. It's It's not the technology, it's not the software, it's not the project, it's the people that really make us who we are. Not sure where I'm going with this. Okay, so that was like my, also, I don't have that many GIFs in my presentation, but I used all these wacky like transitions that are built into Keynote, because I never get to do that. The next thing is respecting your feeds, right? Everyone's connected to the dots, LinkedIn, the dots, Twitter, the dots UK, Facebook, except you get it, right? So, and it's up to you to pick who you follow. It's not like you sign up to Twitter and there's 4.5 million people that you're following and you have to decide if you want to see it or not. You're actually going out there and deciding like, I'm interested in this person, I'm interested in this company, I want to hear what they have to say. I use that as a way to kind of find people to party with. When I talk about partying, I talk about making stuff. I talk about doing things. So like, kind of like jumping off the stage. So like, here's some people that you know, here's some people I'm interested in. Girlfriend of the Year, she's a electronic music artist that's under this label called PC Music. And when she's talking about something, I just interject and I say hello, and we have a dialogue back and forth. And then that leads to something like this, like a collaboration. So I'm going to work on like a weird music video for her sometime soon. Never really did one of those, but what the fuck? Like, do it, right? So like that's a lot. That's interestingly enough how like most of the projects that I work on sort of start from. It's just like a random like 5 or 6 word back and forth with a few tweets. Then it moves to email because, you need more characters. And then you start working on something. So I thought I'd talk about maybe a few of those today. This is the first one. Gonna have some water. So some of you might have seen this yesterday when I wasn't where I was supposed to be, when Andreas called me out, but I was downstairs doing something else. But this was the site that I launched in 2013, towards the end of the year. It's called Cache Monet. It's got 2 caches of, it's got basically 2 folders on the server. One that serves up the GIFs that run in the middle, and then a second folder that has a collection of background images that tile. And for me, it was sort of like an exploration into curating these 2 sort of buckets of visuals that I ripped off of Tumblr for the most part, or manipulated, remixed, and used for my own purposes, and then just kind of like let it be autonomous, and just let's see what happens when serendipity takes over and you've got these visuals paired up with this sort of very nostalgic sort of soundtrack. The music's by this guy named Jib Kidder, and it's called Window Dipper. That wasn't the track, but I've heard it so many times that I don't need to hear it again. But what was really crazy is I sent, and I'll show you, I sent out like 1 email about this, and that was probably like around noontime or something when I got around to email. And then by like 3 o'clock, the internet told me that this thing is like going bonkers. So it was great because I think to this point, I love using Google Analytics. I look at most of my websites through the dashboard because I like to see the people that are connecting to it, where they're coming from, who they are, where referrals are coming, what people are saying. I think putting the things out there as stimuli and then getting like that feedback is more important than the project sometimes. The project's fun, but I just love to see how people react or interact with the things that we put out there. So it's cool that 2 million people were there, but I think I was more stoked on the 5,000 cities, the fact that this was, all these weird tweets coming out of Brazil about drogas and Cache Monet. I'm like, I think people are like just putting it up and like just like doing whatever they're doing. So that was pretty rad. And every day since, if you scrape Twitter, it's talked about every day. I'm paying to host this for myself. So sometimes what comes along with the success of a site that's popular on the internet is that you end up paying like thousands of dollars in hosting fees. So I started collecting some of the stuff that people were saying about it. People were getting very critical, talking about it's artistic, whatever. It's a goofy site that acts like a fun music video. But like the Russians called it out, they knew exactly what it was. They called it a useless site, which was super rad. So with my like high-minded artist statement about it, it was pretty silly. But like I blame Julia because like I emailed Julia from New Ink. That was the one email I sent out, and then she tweeted that. Very nice of her. And then it just seemed to get picked up from almost every online publication that exists, and there was like a whole bunch of those. So that was super cool. One thing that I did enjoy doing, though, is when I was watching the analytics come in, I could see if a particular city was trending or a country was trending. One of the common themes in the site, in the background, are these like completely cheesy like waving flag GIFs that you can find on the internet, and they're free. I would see what cities or what countries we're in, and then I would upload that flag. So then I would see a spike in traffic. And what was awesome is that since the site's behavior is randomized, I would just pull that back out. And then people would just be clicking to try and find like the Brazil flag again, but it would be gone. So the marketer in me, I sort of figured out how to get people to keep poking around and spending time. I know like we're already like an hour behind, but I'll just kind of blaze through this. Simplify that shit. It's often a great piece of advice for designers, just to keep things simple. But we built this site. So with Cache Monet, the whole idea was like, can a computer autonomously create these random sort of pairings to create something artistic and fun, almost like a robot-controlled music video. With Simplify That Shit, we again dipped into the idea of working with algorithms and computers to sort of generate stuff. The general idea is like you could upload a piece of art or anything for that matter, and then we would simplify that shit. So what's great is owning the domain with the IT, because you could subdomain almost anything. You could steal that shit, buy that shit, whatever that shit. So this is basically how it works. You drag an image in from your desktop, SVG animation turns it into some sort of abstract art, and then allows you to be the artist as well, because you can just download that PNG. So The Simpsons was a very popular one. People love The Simpsons. Chanel is a pretty basic bitch. But what's on the next slide? Oh yeah. So what was super rad, ready? Was, we wanted to extend this project beyond just a digital experience, and what we wanted to do is let the computer tell us what to do. Us meaning Jen and I, of course. So we took a month off from our agency jobs, and we bought time in a screen printing facility, and we picked, I think it was like 4 key images that we would do limited runs of 5 prints each. Then we did a series of T-shirts. There was an art gallery opening. It was a super cool thing. But what was really rad was like actually getting your hands dirty. I still have like the emulsion from screen printing on my shirt, on my shoes. But the idea of creating something in the digital space and bringing it into a tangible world and making something that people can put up in their house that's not a movie file, that's not downloaded off the internet. It's something that we physically made. And like each piece of paper cost us like $30, and then when you fuck up, it's just like, you gotta do it again. But screen printing is hard. That's a short story. We also made a series of T-shirts. Here's my big plug. They're still available, so you can buy some of those on universalscene.co. But what was really sort of like the precious thing was spending time with Jen and actually making like art with our hands again, because it had been so long. We've done so much digital media that it's nice to be able to bridge the gap and kind of combine the two. This next one, I'm kind of going pretty quick. So it's great that I can meet people online. I can do like these collaborations and work on side projects. Huge, fortunately, has a creative culture that allows us as creative individuals to say, hey, I have a crazy idea. Can we do something? And then more often than not, we say yes. So like, I'm actually the guy that says yes, because I kind of run the Brooklyn office. So if you have a good idea, I'll probably just say yes. So I I don't know that much about soccer or football, but most Americans are deficient in that. I was trying to learn a little bit from James earlier. But, so the World Cup was going on, and, everyone's playing in their big screens in our agencies and are having fun, and you're following it along in social media. What we thought would be interesting is if we could track all of that positive sentiment that was happening online and create a World Cup that was based on the sentiment of the internet. So it wasn't about who kicked the ball in the net and got the point, but it was about how many people were expressing love for their team or for their country. So that's just an example of something that we kind of just came up with an idea with, and I think within 48 hours we had a fully responsive site that could track all this data that was being pumped out surrounding the World Cup. I've got one more. So again, using that shit domain, and this one's still in beta, I was kind of hoping to have this site live for today so I could be like, check it out. But it's not done yet, so you're going to have to wait. But the idea behind it is a conceptual window shopping experience. So everyone knows, when you're shopping in a district or in a mall, there's a sort of behavior that humans go through. They're sort of meandering and walking about. There's often some sort of do 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 do. There's sort of some sort of music going on. There's all these things to look at. I want that shirt. Those pants are cool. I don't want those Crocs. Whatever. There's an experience around it. So that was sort of the core of the idea. And then the sort of the aesthetic, the visual of it, was inspired by these, everyone knows the Italians, right? Memphis Design Group. And they were super crazy. They would come up with these super vibrant, imaginary color combinations and geometric shapes that were just bonkers. It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse, if everyone knows the Pee-wee Herman, maybe not, I don't know. But what this was to us was an opportunity to take something that we really liked in the design world and sort of remix it or switch it or steal it, however you want to talk about it. So one day when we were at the new museum working on some Rhizome stuff, I started talking to one of the incubator members, a company called Print All Over Me. And if you remember from Julia's talk, they're a company that allows you to basically upload the image of the internet that you like the most onto some sort of fabric, whether it's a beautiful silhouette of a t-shirt or a dress or a scarf or all sorts of crazy bucket hats and whatever. But we decided, hey, we want to create this thing because we started working in 3D for the first time, which was pretty rad. And we had all these kind of very Memphis type visuals that we wanted to sort of get together. There's one. There's another. And of course, there are GIFs. But it's essentially a long scrolling site that the user doesn't control. You load the page up, and it just gradually, it's almost like conveyor belt, kind of loops, and it's just saturated with these Memphis-like visuals. And the only interaction you have is when you mouse over anywhere in the viewport, you can instantly turn any of those images that you look at into a collection of shirts. So we're going to come out with I think it's 36 shirts, which is pretty insane. But super fun nonetheless. Again, connecting stuff that people would sort of experience in the digital world and then be able to take that and to bring into the physical space. So it's just cool to have a website and then to have stuff like that just pop out of it. Connecting it is really rad. That's the only one that exists. It's a prototype. I was going to throw it in the audience, but Jen was like, no, I want that. I was like, so sorry. She wants to compare fabrics or something like that. And, I think just one last point, sort of I've only showed you 3.5 things, but I've connected agencies like Hello Monday, BBH, Huge, Droga 5, and all of these people. And again, it was that same thing that was the magic for me about the web, is that it's made up of people. And it's about, I think James brought it up too, whether you're going to do it a handshake, a high five, a tweet, a DM, or an email, it's just get out there and connect with people. I mean, that's why we're all here. That's why I came here. I think that's why every one of you are in a seat. What's up, Jeff? It's just a great place to be. And I think the more that you start talking to people, that's great. But just try to take it one step further and make something. And everyone else did this today, but I stole a picture off of... I know, it says do not download this image on Flickr. They're blocked, but I just fucking hacked that shit. Yeah, I know. Look at that. I tried to go back because there was 1,000 images, so I tried to dial back to some beautiful vacation moment. But one more round of applause for Andre and Lucy and the whole team.
Thank you.